Going to start with the title race. We'll talk about Liverpool in just a while, but we need to talk about Manchester City first. I'm looking forward to getting Clinton's thoughts on this one in a short while. He was animated, that would be fair to say, in the midweek soccer special on this particular subject. Mercer, I'm going to come to you first. I don't recognise my team with the words of Pep Guardiola back in 2022. They went on in the end to win the treble. Is this crisis at City being overblown?
Because of the standards that they've set over the last many years.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, it would have been a problem. I'm with Clinton. I personally think whoever finishes above Man City will win the Premier League. If you finish above Man City and don't win the Premier League, you're bang out of luck. You know, we've seen it before last season, then they come back after Christmas. They just get stronger and stronger. You have to make hay while the sun shines with Man City. You need to get a lead, because when the new year turns, got too many quality players. But I would be worried with the Rodri one.
Yeah.
Would be worried with that.
And we'll talk much more about the Rodri factor in just a moment. But the thing is, Clinton, I mean, they've been so relentless over the last few seasons, and they may prove to be relentless once again. They might do exactly what Pep Guardiola was talking back in 2022 and go on a terrific run. But because of the high standards that they've set season after season, does it therefore distort the level of their problems when they hit a run like this?
Yeah, I know what everyone's saying. They're on a run, but what you've got to realise with Man City, we've seen this many times before, where they've gone on before and lost 2 or 3 games in a row, then gone on an unbelievable run after that. What you realise is they've got the best manager in the world, in Pep Guardiola, and he's never probably been in situations like this. So that's why I said in the midweek when I had a rant, you can't say they've exploded and they're not good anymore after 2 or 3 bad results. I watched the Sporting game. Let me tell you, in the first half, if they put their chances away, the game's over in the first half. They have a spell after half-time where 3 or 4 minutes, they're nowhere near good enough and they're out the game. Even when Haaland misses the penalty, if he scores that penalty, it's a different game. It's 3-2 and then they could come back into it. But after that, I think the only positive you can see from that performance was Kevin De Bruyne being back, because he's been a big miss for them. But I always say, he's the best player, Kevin De Bruyne, at Man City, but they miss the most important player, which is Rodri. And that is why they conceded a lot of goals. They're open at the moment. They're dominating possession and they're open, and teams are cutting through them at the moment. But it's not panic stations for me at Man City. What Mer said. No, there's no ifs or buts. If you finish above Man City, you've won the Premier League. Over to you, Chris Boyd.
What ifs and buts in there, Mr.
What do you think then?
What's your take on this? Are the problems being overblown, or should we be taking them a little more seriously than we are at the moment?
I think it's clear when you look at Rodri and De Bruyne and even Haaland last year, but for me, Ruben Diaz is a huge miss as well. Huge. I think Rodri gets the credit for being in there and doing what he does, but if you look at Diaz over the years, the performances that he's put in, I mean, he was a player of the year a couple of years ago as well, and I just think that what he brings, that leadership skill, defensive qualities, it's missed. The way that Manchester City play, 9 times out of 10 they've got the ball more times than the opposition. They will suffocate you, and but you look at it this year, and I just think they've been vulnerable defensively. And it's easy to point at Rodri, but we've got a centre back sitting beside me here as well, and sometimes they don't get the credit they deserve. Diaz is a proper defender.
Yeah, I echo everything that the guys have said in what they're saying, and I think they look vulnerable. I've said it for many weeks, and Man City blow my mind the way they play with Pep Guardiola. But if defensively you're struggling, you're never going to win football matches. And we always say, concede 3, they score 4. You see them at Fulham, and they won 3-2.
He played Diaz, didn't he, at Fulham?
They could have been out of sight, Fulham. 3 one-on-ones. So for me, it's a concern. Because you lose Rodri, you lose De Bruyne. They're not the same team at this moment in time. Am I writing them off? Don't be so stupid. I was watching Clinton midweek and I agreed with everything he said. Never write Manchester City off. But it is a concern, and I'm sure Pep's looking, going, we're winning games. Wolves, last minute John Stones. Fulham, very fortunate to win the football match. There's games where you're looking and going, they're getting the job done. In the last week, they haven't been doing that, and they're losing, and Pep will be looking.
But we can't praise other teams for just getting the job done. Then when Man City get it done, criticise them, because at the end of the day, because they're so good and they deserve the credit that they get when they're winning games, if they are able just to get results and get over the line in some games, you've got to praise them as well.
No, I agree. And we said that a week ago, and they should have won in midweek. But you lose football matches, and then people look and go, well, you're losing now. It's fine margins. Football can be fine margins, but Manchester City to lose the games. I know they have been in different competitions, but people look. Haaland isn't, at this moment in time, firing on all cylinders. Don't get me wrong. He could play Brighton today and go and score a hat-trick quite easily, because that is the gulf and the quality that Manchester City possess in that
And I wonder, Paul, when you look at the Bournemouth game, when you look at recent games when Rodri's been missing, listen, he's had periods in previous seasons where either through suspension injury he's missed a short period. Psychologically for this squad, this is different. He's out for the rest of the season. How might that affect him and the team?
I mean, I was on here on Wednesday with Sue, and Sue was spot on what she said. She said, I was saying about Rodri, about what you miss going forward, but she was right what she said. You miss the defensive side.
Sniffing out of the danger.
He protects the back four, he sees the danger, and Sue was spot on, she said it Wednesday. And you could talk about Diaz, but if it's Aki and Akanji, if you've got Rodri in front of you, it doesn't matter who the back two are. You know, he gives you that discipline. The thing is, and the big advantage, knowing that he's out for the whole season, they will have to come up with a solution. Whether that be in January...
Guardiola will relish that, won't he?
He has to. He has to. This is what it's about. This is why he's the best in the world. He'll come up with a solution. I've said it before. Kovacic is a very good player, but he runs with the ball. He runs with the ball and he takes the ball up the pitch. He doesn't see the danger like Rodri. And the other thing is he doesn't give the ball quickly to the players that make it happen. You know, like your Kevin De Bruyne's, your Silvers, your Fodens. You have to give them the ball quickly.
Yeah.
You know, Kovacic takes 2, 3, 4, 5 touches. Rodri's 1, 2, bang. And it makes a difference. You know, Dawes tell you, playing at the back, you can't go in. If the ball gets moved that quickly, you can't go in. And then all of a sudden they get on the half turn and you're just getting destroyed.
So the question is, Clinton, when you look at Rodri's figures from last season, in terms of ball recoveries per game, he was averaging 7.21. That's more than Kovacic and Silva have done this season combined. He's irreplaceable. But in terms of Guardiola trying to find an effective balance to that City midfield, how does he go about doing that?
Yeah, well, that's the hard question. It's hard to replace a Ballon d'Or winner, you know. There's a reason why he won the Ballon d'Or, because he's the best in his position in world football. So it's going to be difficult. Can he find a solution? Can they get till January? Listen, there'll be games where they dominate possession and Kovacic can play in there because he's a brilliant footballer going forward. Maybe not so good his defensive duty. The one that stands out for me, I know young Rico Lewis has done it, but he's still learning on it, is John Stones. But Stones is not fit at the moment. John Stones could sit in front of the back four, and he's got that defensive minded and he's comfortable in possession. I know you're going to miss what Rodri gives you going forward.
Exactly.
But for defensive issue, then if you've got the likes of De Bruyne, Foden, Sevilla, Grealish and Haaland, then those 5 can go and win you the game.
That's been an issue. Foden's not at the heights that he was at last season as well. Grealish is obviously...
There's a problem with Grealish, isn't it? I mean, what he was saying in the press conference yesterday, he is going to be part of the latest England squad, and yet Guardiola's saying he's done hardly any training this week.
Yeah.
What's going on there, do you sense?
I could understand his frustration. You know, you work so hard as a club to get your players back, and there's no doubt that you want them to go and represent the club at international level, and I don't think Pep Guardiola is ever going to be one who, you know, will hold his players back. He'll want them to go, but he will understand, you know, where the squad is. I mean, because everybody, you look at Manchester City and everybody thinks that they have this outstanding squad. They don't have a huge squad. The players that are in it are very, very good, but they don't have a huge squad. You know, I think that, you know, and people like Foden have not hit the heights that they were at last year. Grealish has been in and out as well, and I think we're used to Manchester City starting the season slow. And I mean, I think they're roughly around about the same points, if not the same points as what they were last season, and then they had a little dip, but it might just be happening again. I mean, it's been a week. They've lost 3 games in such a short period of time, but I wouldn't be hitting the panic button, that's for sure. And if it was one team to be worried, it would be Brighton today, because you just know there could be a backlash coming.
But the flip side of that, Dawes, is because of what we've seen from City looking more vulnerable, the chances they're giving away to opposition teams. You rightly mentioned the Fulham game from a few weeks ago. It could have been a very different story. There won't be, at the moment, necessarily the fear factor of playing the Champions there might have been a few weeks ago.
No, but they'll also understand, Brighton realise that Manchester City in attacking areas can hurt you. And Brighton are vulnerable at times as well. They leave it wide open at the back, very attacking. I think Danny Welbeck up top has been great. So yeah, there'll be goals in this game. I'm sure I'll be watching it later on my way home, and you see it'll be entertaining, because Fabian Hertz won't shut up shop. He'll think we can hurt Man City, because defensively they have looked vulnerable, and that's been my concern. But there's no alarm bells ringing at Manchester City just yet. They're only 2 points off Liverpool. We see the best of Manchester City in the turn of the year, and I don't see any different. It will be the same for me And I echo what Merson Clint said. If you finish above Manchester City, you win the league.
I love it when people agree with me.
No, we've said it. We're not going to change
when
in
they
1
agree
week,
with you,
Clint. We're not going to change in 1 week.
Makes
all
me
of a
think
sudden.
I'm doing
It's
well.
not a criticism of Liverpool either. It's not a criticism of Liverpool,
Yeah.
but everybody's telling us they have been unbelievable. Manchester City are 2 points off them, and they're in a crisis.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about Liverpool, because the simple truth is, Merce, they're 2 points clear at the top. Emphatic against Bayer Leverkusen at Anfield midweek, and we know what Bayer Leverkusen did in the Bundesliga last season. They went unbeaten and ended up champions. We're nearly a quarter of the way through the season after the game after next. So at what point do we begin to take Liverpool seriously as title contenders, or should we be already doing that?
I think everybody is, and I thought before the start of the
But
season...
people feel that even though he's putting this record-breaking run together, some are still not totally convinced by them. Wow.
At the start of the season, I thought it was out of Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal. I thought it would be out of them three. I haven't changed my mind at the moment. Liverpool right up there, and the reason is they score goals. They've got players all over the pitch, you know, Diaz, you know, and then Salah. You've got Gakpo scores goals. You've got Jota, who's injured, who scores goals. You know, they all score goals. Nunez gets a few every now and then. They got goals across the back four. The problem's going to be if Van Dijk gets injured.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They're all sweating on that one. You know, like Man City with Rodri, you know, they're an injury away or 2 injuries away. And this is the problem with the other teams. And as we talked about last week, there's a lot of injuries this season. A lot of injuries with all the top teams. You know, you see Van der Ven's out. Romero went off the other day. You know, Rodri's out for a long time. Kevin De Bruyne's been out. Odegaard's been out. You know, Rice has missed a couple of games. You know, players are... And we're only in November.
Yeah.
So the season as it goes along, whoever keeps their players fit is going to be a massive advantage. And, you know, they're winning the games. People say they ain't played anybody yet, Liverpool. Win your games.
Yeah.
Just keep on winning.